Welcome to In Good Company, where relationships drive results, with your host, Lisa Kilrea. In each episode, we explore how great leaders build trust, inspire teams, and turn meaningful connections into real success.
Hi, I'm Lisa Kilrea, host of In Good Company, where relationships drive results. Today's episode is sponsored by WSI eResults. At WSI, we help manufacturers and B2B businesses build the strategic foundation they need for AI-driven digital growth. Our work spans SEO, content strategy, and multi-channel digital campaigns that fuel bottom-line results. Recently, a client who started with us a few years ago said, "I'm so glad we began this when we did. That early strategy is why they are now showing up across AI search and LLM platforms and attracting qualified leads from around the world for equipment that can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars." Learn more at www.wsi-manufacturing-marketing.com. I have Chad here from Rise 25, who has done thousands of interviews with successful entrepreneurs and CEOs, and we have flipped the script, and he will be interviewing me today. Chad, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much, Lisa. Great to be here. Great to talk to you again. Last time we spoke, we kind of took a broad look at a lot of the services that WSI provides for its clients. And today I thought we'd kind of drill down on one of them and talk about it specifically, and that being SEO. So as we get started
awesome.
here, just tell me, what makes SEO so critical for manufacturers in today's digital landscape?
Yeah, I would say SEO, and I think everybody has probably known the acronym to mean search engine optimization. And in reality, it has evolved significantly, specifically in the past year. And we call it search everywhere optimization. I can talk about that a little bit more later, but essentially it's because Google's not the only show in town anymore. ChatGPT was born. There are other LLMs out there, and so many people are spending a significant amount of time researching and gathering information in the LLMs. So it's not about search engine relating to Google optimization. It's about search everywhere being found in the LLMs, being found where the LLMs go, so your company can be cited. So it really has changed significantly. But to answer your question, for manufacturers and those in the B2B space, SEO is so critical. We have found over the years that it really is the workhorse of a digital strategy. It is really the strategy that will build your brand authority and get you recognized on various platforms on the internet. So it's really the driver of results, and other strategies complement it.
Okay, very interesting. So maybe a company who doesn't utilize anybody who's an expert in SEO, but finally kind of figured it out. At least figured it out to the extent that they thought that it was going pretty well for them. Now that it's instead of being search engine, it's search everywhere. Is there a vastly different approach that people should take?
There is. I mean, I guess fortunately and unfortunately, for those people who are in the know and are staying up to date, it literally is, the whole methodology and situation is changing daily. There are new opportunities. The LLMs are getting more sophisticated. There is no playbook for search everywhere optimization. I mean, I think the knowledgeable SEOs and agencies have a good handle on where it's headed and what you need to do, but even that has changed. So we are communicating with our clients when we speak with them on a regular basis that, just know going into 2026, this is fluid. This is going to change. We don't know what the opportunities are going to be in 6 months or even next month. So right now, this is what we think is the best approach, but there's something in here that is going to change, and we're going to have to analyze new options and look at the cost benefit of it. And if we need to start swapping things out, we will, which is very different from the historical way of tackling search engine optimization. I mean, there was kind of a known way to get found. White hat was good, black hat was bad. And if you did the right things, and focused on your site and wrote good content on a technically sound site, you would get found. I mean, that was overly simplifying it probably, but that playbook has completely flipped, and there are new things that we have to do.
Interesting. So, in terms of customizing SEO strategies for industrial or niche manufacturing sectors, what approach does WSI take?
Yeah, I mean, really where we have evolved to is, and it's really to accommodate the search everywhere optimization approach, is, traditional SEO is not dead. I mean, people still search on Google. Google is not giving up without a fight. They are going to survive. They've implemented their own AI overviews, and they've got their AI mode now. So they're in the game. But all the other LLMs are out there also. So I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm going
Sure,
off
sure.
track. What
Yeah.
was your question
How
again?
does WSI customize SEO strategies for industrial or niche manufacturing sectors?
Yeah, it does vary, I would say, with the search engine or search everywhere approach versus like a B2C business. I mean, to get the visibility, get the third party citations, um, there are different ways to go about getting that for an industrial company. So I would say one example would be the LLMs really like LinkedIn. So for a B2C business, I wouldn't say LinkedIn as a social media platform is the best way to go about it. I mean, Facebook and Meta get picked up by the LLMs also. So
Hmm.
being active on LinkedIn is probably important for a B2B company. However, it's not just about posting. It's really about developing a content strategy around LLM prompts.
Hmm.
So, as probably most people know, searching within ChatGPT, just as an example, is typically probably how you're searching and how I'm searching is very different than how we search on Google. I mean, these are very in-depth um, prompts that people are entering into ChatGPT, very much question and answer or solution focused. So your content needs to be structured that way. So when the LLMs read it, you're giving them kind of a question answer format that they can read and pick up and give you credit for and work you into their formulated answer and cite you as one of the company URLs that they pulled from to compile that answer for the searcher. So there's definitely specific things unique to B2B and manufacturers that need to be worked into the search everywhere optimization approach.
So, as you mentioned in your message, some of the equipment that your clients advertise can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So if I'm looking for like a $1,000 grill, I'd probably just go to Google first thing. But I would imagine that maybe in that kind of high end, buying and selling, maybe ChatGPT or some sort of AI is used more often.
Are you talking about for our type of
Yeah, yeah,
clients
for
that
your
are?
type of clients.
Yeah, I would say that probably for $1,000 grill, people probably still are going to ChatGPT.
Oh, you think so? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe for a $10 item, they're not, but
Mm.
for $1,000 investment, they're probably using the LLMs to
Hmm.
gather what are the top grill manufacturers and the top models for my price range. And
Hmm.
I live in the Midwest and that whole thing. So there is definitely application for B2C, but for B2B, where there are typically much more expensive purchases and it's much more technical and the buyer's journey is longer, there is definitely research being done within the LLMs first. And the thing that is happening across the board, that industry experts are figuring out and we're seeing in the data is that the buyer's journey is being significantly compressed as a result of the LLMs and ChatGPT and in particular. So searchers are doing the vast majority of their research within ChatGPT. They're just about ready to make a decision. And then they leave the LLM and they go to Google to validate what ChatGPT or Perplexity or Gemini told them. And they go to the website through Google. They do an organic search and they either go direct from the URL that ChatGPT gave them, or they do a branded search in Google. So they type the company name and they go to the website. They look at the website, they confirm that everything is what they learned through their LLM research, and they make a decision
Mm.
relatively quickly, at least maybe not to purchase, because for a several $100,000 piece of equipment, you're not going to instantly purchase, but you're going to reach out to the company and you're going to send a form, you're going to make a phone call, and you're going to get in touch with an expert there. And then you're going to find out more information and request a proposal, and you're going to go through that process. So what we're finding for our B2B clients is that LLM referral traffic or visitor is 4.4 times more likely to convert than a traditional Google organic visitor.
Wow.
So, yeah. And so while you may not right now be getting as much LLM referred traffic, you can think of it as every 100 LLM visitors is equivalent to 440 Google organic visitors. So you
Wow.
don't need nearly the volume. But
Very
what is
interesting.
really interesting also, and I saw this statistic very recently, that by the end of this year, organic traffic through Google is going to, I believe it was drop 25%, and within the next 2 years, drop 50%.
Wow.
So Google's traditional organic traffic is plummeting, and it's not just because of the LLMs. It's also partially because of Google, because of their AI overviews. Because for top of the funnel people that are looking for an answer and doing preliminary research, they're getting their information directly from Google in the AI overview without needing to click to the website.
Mm, of course.
So the LLMs and the AI overviews are contributing to this significant decrease in traditional organic traffic. It's also being called zero click. I don't know if you've ever heard that phrase,
Yeah.
but people are searching, they're Googling things, they're getting their answer, they're walking away, and they're not clicking. Therefore, it's called a zero click.
Mm,
So it never results in a visitor to a website because they got their answer directly from Google without clicking. Yeah.
wow. So how do you overcome that?
Um, you really you can't overcome zero click,
Okay.
but the goal is for your company or your client's company to be one of the cited resources in that AI overview.
Mm,
So the answer that Google compiles, which can be very extensive, is usually supported by two or three or even more companies. And they're listed there on the very right-hand side. And usually there's and more button. And there could be up to 10 companies that AI referenced as a resource to compile that answer. So your best bet is to be one of those cited companies. So that is the goal. The goal is to continue to be found organically, to be ranked, because Google's not dead, to be found and to be cited in the AI overviews or the LLM answers.
okay. So when you kind of look at somebody's or a manufacturing company's SEO and you maybe do an audit for them, what do you look for first?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's all kinds of audits. I mean, it can be a pretty basic audit, it can be pretty in depth. I would say, I mean, our traditional audits are pretty robust and holistic in how we look at the client, their website, and their digital exposure. So, one part of it is a technical audit. So, auditing the website to make sure that the site is technically sound, it's getting crawled, that there's no issues fundamentally from a technical issue. But also part of our overall audit process is to, have a discussion with the client and understand what their overall business goals and objectives are. Who is their targeted buyer persona, and what are their priority services and products that they sell? Because we really have to match that anecdotal information that they share with us with what we see on the website. Because if they tell us one thing and what we see on the website is not consistent, we're like, that's not even on your website. Like it sounds like you're talking to this person, not this person. That could be a significant strategic opportunity for them to fix or for us to help them fix. Also, part of that is competitive research. It's really important, and keyword research to, really understand, what they're ranking for, what they're not ranking for, and how that aligns with their overall business objectives, their targeted buyer persona, and their priority products and services that they sell and manufacture.
The last time we spoke, you mentioned that, for more kind of quick results, Google ads probably are the best way to go. But over the long term, you just said that an SEO campaign is probably the backbone of your success. How do you kind of measure that success of an SEO campaign over time?
Yeah, I mean, SEO and quite honestly, digital ads also. Um, it's all about conversions. I mean,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter how many website visitors you have, what you're ranking for, how many impressions you got on an ad, how many people click the ad. It all comes down to how many conversions you have, which could be a form submission, it could be a phone call, or if the client has live chat, it could be a chat conversation. So sometimes a simple chat inquiry is the first step to a deeper conversation and potentially an RFQ. So our goal is always to, eliminate the fluff metrics and really get down to the bread and butter of what our clients are looking for. And that is, it's all about conversions and
Hmm.
quality conversions. Again, a client doesn't want 50 conversions and phone calls and forms a month if they're all bad.
Sure.
So we're looking for good quality inquiries, whether it comes from forums or phone calls.
What role does technical SEO play in industrial website performance?
Yeah, that technical SEO really doesn't differ for industrial B2B or B2C. I mean, every website that needs to get found needs to be technically sound. That's really the first step. So we will never work with a new client and kick off a marketing campaign or develop a strategy without doing the technical audit and addressing the technical soundness of the website because it will jeopardize the results of the marketing. So we will always do that before we flip the switch and spend money for our client.
Hmm. How long does it typically take then before a client sees ranking improvements from SEO?
Yeah, that really depends on the client. It depends on where they're starting. So, have they done SEO before we met them? Or are they starting with a clean sheet of paper? So a lot of our clients who we start working with have not done any official or professional SEO. They might have tried a do-it-yourself approach that didn't really work out too well for them. But, SEO is cumulative. The benefits build over time. So the more you do it and the more good SEO you do, the more authority you'll have. So once you have that authority with the LLMs and with Google, you can, kick off a new part of the program and you'll see results pretty quickly. I mean, we've seen a new piece of content go out for a client that's we've been working with for several years, and they're well optimized and they're becoming better optimized every day. We'll get ranked within days with that new piece of content.
Hmm.
But for a client that's not optimized, where they're invisible, and sometimes we start working with clients that are even worse than invisible, where we're digging ourselves out of a hole because Google's confused.
Hmm.
It could be for a lot of reasons why Google's confused. Google doesn't understand their brand. Maybe there's a lot of companies out there that have the same or similar company name. Um, we have a client who has a company name that is the same as a evergreen tree.
Hmm.
So when you type in that name, you're getting conifers popping up and you're getting, you know, other things popping up. So I would say that that's an example of starting behind the eight ball. So you got to eliminate the confusion that Google may have about your company or your brand or your website to begin building that authority.
Oh yeah.
So it really depends on where you're starting and what the situation is that you're inheriting. So, I gave you one example of within days, a new piece of content goes out and it gets ranked. That's one end of the spectrum. The other end is, it could take 6, 8, 9 months to really start having everything kick into gear. But again, the more you do it, and more you monitor it, and the more you do the right things, it'll kick in and build over time, and the results will come more quickly.
What's the difference between on-page and off-page SEO, and how do you tackle both?
Yeah, on page and off page SEO, that's kind of an old school. I mean, old school a year ago.
Mm.
Hate to say it, when went from search engine to search everywhere optimization. That's very much a search engine optimization terminology, I would say. Not that it's not important anymore, because the on page is your IA, the organization and structure of your website, writing content the proper way and having the navigations work properly, and the tagging. That's kind of the old meta tagging is kind of the old traditional, which I would say the meta tagging and all that is not as important as it was before.
Mm.
But now the off page, which was less important with search engine optimization, has now become critically important with search everywhere optimization. So on-site is still important. Everything on your website, your content, your technical soundness, all of that is still important, but now off-site has become critically important. So whether it be YouTube, LinkedIn, forums, LLMs love Reddit and Quora. So there's a whole bunch of other things out there that have become, we're kind of nice to haves for the more robust search engine optimization programs, and now they're need to haves for search everywhere,
How do you,
unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. How do you handle SEO for clients with long sales cycles, which I'm sure is pretty common, and low volume keywords?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, the the long purchase cycle is very typical of what
Hmm.
we deal with.
Hmm.
And I think really the issue there is, um, you need that lead to come in and you want to capture them when they're top of the funnel, when they're doing their research. And if they're doing it in the LLMs, you've got to be cited because that's where they are searching when they are top of the funnel. So then when they end up on your website, they're more likely to convert. So that is definitely, I would say, very consistent across most of our clients, which your second question regarding
Hmm.
low volume keywords are not necessarily a bad thing for that type of client.
Mm.
And in actuality, it's a good thing and it should be part of the strategy. So, going after those really high volume, um, more generic keywords, those are really competitive to get ranked for. And smaller budget clients probably will never get ranked for those keywords. And if they do, they're not very relevant to what they do. So a lot of the traffic that's going to come through may not even be about what this particular company does.
Mm.
So a good strategy and what we like to implement is the long tail keywords, which are lower volume. They're lower, they're they're longer phrases. They're less competitive, so you're more likely to get them ranked. But the visitor that is searching that is going to be more likely to convert. So I'll take a ton of long tail, less competitive, lower volume keywords that get ranked over a large volume, you know, shorter word or phrase that isn't as relevant to my client.
How do you help clients understand the ROI of SEO, especially when it takes time to see the results?
Yeah, I would say in certain situations, clients need to be patient and they need to understand what it takes to get found and to get that digital visibility. But they also have to understand and see the value and what this can provide them
Hmm.
long term. So, I mean, it's one of those things that like you can be doing SEO for 5 months and you may not have gotten a ton of leads through and you may not have closed a deal, but you can't look backwards, but in month 6 you could have gotten that big deal because things are just starting to kick in.
Mm.
So you really need to understand the process and let your agency, if it's WSI, educate you on, what the behind the scenes indicators are that things are working and things are starting to kick into gear because it's like a domino effect. Certain things need to happen first before the next thing happens, until the next thing happens, until you get that lead and you close a deal.
In future episodes, maybe we can hear a little bit more from you about things like paid ads or marketing automation. But tell me, in
Awesome.
terms of SEO, how does SEO support those kinds of other tactics?
Yeah, I mean, like I said at the very beginning of this episode,
Hmm.
we have found over the years that SEO is really the workhorse of a digital strategy. So, in my eyes, a lot of these other programs or strategies complement and support the SEO. Um, so, for example, digital ads can get you exposure for keywords that you're not getting ranked for in Google or that you're not getting cited for in the LLMs.
Hmm.
So you can get that quick visibility by buying that traffic.
Hmm.
So it's a good complement to SEO. So we like to look at digital ads as being 1 + 1 = 3 when you combine it with SEO. Marketing automation is a whole different thing. So marketing automation typically does not generate leads. It basically is a system utilizing strategy, content, and technology that helps you
Mm.
close more leads. So in an ideal world, your marketing automation platform has all your different channel data funneling into it. So you've got a dashboard and transparency on where your leads are coming from and which opportunities are closing. So marketing automation is very much tied into CRMs. So it's basically it's really combining the marketing and the sales part of the process and taking those leads that come from SEO and paid ads and putting them into a system where they get nurtured. Going back to your question about high value, long purchase cycles,
Hmm.
this is an important element of an integrated digital strategy because typically, if a big lead comes in through SEO and it may or may not close. Let's say you don't win the deal, but 9 months down the road, there's another opportunity with that prospect. They may have forgotten about you. They never did business with you. They were impressed, but maybe you're a better fit for this new project. If they're in your system and you're communicating with them on a regular basis, you will have a better shot at closing that next opportunity that may not have ever been given to you.
So when it comes to keywords, I think keywords are scary. It's like there's this select group of people who know the keywords, and I'm not part of that group. How do you kind of identify the best keywords for a manufacturing company that sells to a niche audience?
Yeah, that's also a very good question, Chad. I get asked that question quite a bit. I actually, what I have potential clients say to me a lot is, we're really niche. Like, I don't know if this is going to work. And my first thought is, you're really niche. This is absolutely why it will work.
Mm,
I mean, because niche businesses that it's very clear what they do, and it's very specific and technical, you can identify those keywords or those keyword phrases on what that their buyer persona is searching.
mm.
So, and if you identify the right words or phrases that that prospective customer is searching, and you get you optimize for them, and you're ranked either within Google or cited within the LLMs, you can almost guarantee that that person that visits your website is a prospective customer. I mean, it's a good fit. I
Okay.
mean, no one searches highly technical words that isn't in the business. So niche businesses in our mind are our sweet spot. That's where we find success. And it's really about identifying those niche keywords
Hmm.
that their buyer persona is searching.
Can you, without maybe getting too specific, but can you maybe share like a case study where you remember like SEO was huge for this client, and in what ways did it make an impact?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I just had an episode of In Good Company this morning
Okay.
with with a president of a company, and they are a current client of ours. And he said this, and I mean, the purpose of the show is not to tout what we would do; it's really to tout what he does. But he had a shout out for us, which I really appreciated, and he said, I asked him how he had been so successful. How did he bring the company from, pretty much doubling revenue and doubling his employee size and all that? And he came back with, well, I have to kind of give WSI credit because when we first met you, um, we weren't getting found for anything. We weren't getting inquiries through our website. We weren't ranking for any keywords. And you came in, you developed the strategy, reskinned our website, and, they've since added on all these services that they didn't do before they met us. They've purchased equipment so they can fulfill these new services, and we've helped them get the visibility online for these new services that they've heavily invested in that required them significantly hiring more people. And that was all because of SEO.
Hmm. Wow. Nice.
Yeah. So that was a very recent, real testimonial
Yeah.
coming from a current client.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, maybe a manufacturing company comes to you and they already have kind of some SEO in place. What are some common SEO mistakes that you see from those types of people or clients before they come to WSI?
Yeah. Well, I would say there's a lot of mistakes
Hmm.
other agencies, other companies can do. So whether it's an agency that they were working with, whether they had a contractor doing it on the side, or whether they've got somebody in-house, a team or a person. There's all different scenarios on who previously was handling their SEO, and there are more ways to goof SEO up than there are ways to do it right. So, I mean, it's a very common issue, and there's a lot of ways that somebody could not do it right and not get the results and kind of taint the whole opportunity of SEO for a company. But I guess I would say one thing would be to do SEO on a poor site. If it's not technically sound, I mean, that's a huge mistake. You got to fix the website before you do SEO. Another thing is the keyword research really needs to be done, and it needs to be done well and in-depthly. That is the foundation of an entire digital strategy, not just SEO. I mean, the keywords need to be worked into social, needs to be worked into paid ads, SEO. I mean, everywhere you turn, content development, the keyword research and strategy, and content plan is critically important. And if you are optimizing for the wrong keywords, either words that are unrealistic to get ranked for or are not the right words for your client, the buyer persona, the whole strategy isn't going to work.
Last,
And then I would say probably yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
oh, I have one last question for you, but please go ahead and finish what you were
Yeah,
going to
I was
say.
just going to say the third thing is um, operating in silos.
Hmm.
We've come across that quite a bit. So, a fully integrated digital strategy is multi-channel. So when I say multi-channel, SEO, marketing automation, digital ads, social media. Um, and what we have seen with clients that we've inherited is that the previous SEO team is really operating in silos. They're not integrating the different approaches. So
Mm.
maybe the social media posts aren't following the content strategy. Um, I mean, maybe the social media posts aren't focused on the LLM prompts that are worked into the content plan. Um, maybe the paid ads um, aren't bidding on the right words that the SEO strategy wants to optimize for. So, at a minimum, if you're not optimized for certain keywords and it's part of your SEO strategy, you should be bidding on those keywords within a digital ad campaign. So, everything should be connected and coordinated and working together. And I would say that's probably the third big mistake a company can make.
Last question for you. You mentioned a little bit earlier when you talk to a client who's, starting to dive into this whole SEO thing that everything could change soon. Given that, how often should a company revisit and refine its SEO strategy?
Well, I mean, I would say in the old world, which weirdly was probably about a year ago. I mean, I would say that it was once a year. I mean,
Okay.
you really wanted to stick with your methodology. It was like,
Hmm.
no, you don't want to goof this up. Like, we know what works and you got to stick with it and you got to keep doing kind of the same things over and over and doing it consistently to start building that authority and to start getting picked up by Google. Um, you know, every year, reevaluate the approach. Now, I can with 100% confidence say going into 2026 that all of our clients' scope of work is not going to look 100% the same way at the end of 2026.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know how much it's going to change or how often. Um, but it's going to change more than once a year. I mean, I would say that there's going to be at least a couple things that change, tactics that change, things that get swapped out, approaches that need to evolve because of learnings, because it's the wild, wild west. I mean, not to be overly dramatic, but with the LLMs and search everywhere optimization, as I said before, there is no playbook on 100% what it's going to be next year.
So how can you kind of this will be the last question. How can you kind of
That's okay.
tell like what indicator is there that okay, there's been a shift, we need to change up our approach to a certain campaign. You know what I mean? Like something caused you to decide that it was no longer a search engine, it was now search everywhere. Now that it's search everywhere, something else could shift. Like what's kind of an indicator that you need to rethink your approach?
Yeah, you know what? I don't think I think the change in methodology or approach or tactics that's going to happen in 2026 isn't going to be because something was wrong
Oh, it's not going to be
or,
reactive.
yeah, it's going to be because there's a better option out
Oh, I
there.
see.
And it's going to be new information. And maybe something that's currently in the scope of work is difficult to implement and maybe more so than anticipated. And maybe there's a better option out there. So it's all about swapping out things because there's more things out there that can be done than most budgets can accommodate. So we're picking the highest value tactics to put together the most robust combination of activity that we feel is going to move the needle as quickly as possible. So, I mean, I'm kind of anticipating in 2026 that there's going to be new opportunities that maybe we can swap out. Okay, let's stop doing this and let's do this instead. Or, you know what, this isn't working out so well. Let's do more of this. So I think that's going to probably be what happens in 2026.
Okay. Well, sounds good. Hey, Lisa, great to talk to you. Fantastic information, very valuable, very interesting. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Chad.
So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to In Good Company, where relationships drive results, with Lisa Kilrea. Be sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, stay connected and keep building relationships that drive results.